How do you compare to the average man?
This is a mathematically accurate rendering of the average American man.
Oh,
He's
wow.
5 feet, 9¼ inches tall, 200 pounds, and
Damn.
26% body fat.
Yeah, 26% body fat, 200 pounds. We got some big boys and girls in America. We got some big ladies and gentlemen.
It's created by graphic artist Nicolay Lamb to illustrate America's growing obesity crisis. But when I first saw him, another thought crossed my mind. How do I measure up next to this average guy? I think it's something we've all wondered at some point in time. How do I compare to the average man? Am I smarter? Hotter? Better in bed? Statistically speaking, you probably think you are. 65% of Americans think they're above average intelligence,
Yeah, that's not surprising.
69% above average attractiveness, and 80% think they're above average in bed.
Yeah.
Even though logically 80% can't be above average, we still think.
Yeah, the part that I think is the least surprising is the number of people who think that they're above average intelligence. I actually just looked this up in terms of the amount of people that enroll in college after high school. It says the rate has fluctuated somewhat, but remains generally high, with the rate in October 2022 being 62%. So the fact that 65% of people believe that they're more intelligent than the average person isn't surprising to me. I feel like anybody, as soon as people start paying $500 for books, they start thinking that they're more intelligent than regular people. Just because you go to college don't necessarily mean you're intelligent, but I think a lot of people who go to college assume that they're smarter than normal people. And the most ironic part about it is I think that the people who are in the 40% probably have more people that are actually above average level intelligence.
This is due to what's called the better than average effect, a bias that leads us to overrate ourselves in just about everything. Morality, intelligence, our ability to land a plane. But if nearly everyone thinks they're above average in everything, is there a way to really know where we stand? In this video, we're going to break down the stats, the science, and the surprising realities of where the average man really stands, and use those stats to put something together to definitively say if you're actually above average. So, to break down the stats of the average man, we're going to go over 3 categories: appearance, wealth, and relationships.
Okay.
Starting out with the physical attributes of the average man, he is, as mentioned earlier, 5 feet 9¼ inches tall,
man, your boy's
weighing
short.
199.8 pounds, and is 26% body fat.
Oh man, your boy is short. I am short, but I'm not fat. Cause you can't be both. I'm shorter than average, but I ain't fat, and them extra inches gotta go somewhere, if you get what I'm saying.
But he's also 37 years old. Despite being the same height, the average 25-year-old American is 20 pounds lighter than the average 37-year-old, and is only 21% body fat, 5% lower than his older counterpart.
Yeah, I think that comes from lifestyle changes, though. I think when you get into your 30s, especially 37, you start focusing more on your career instead of your health, to be honest. You have more responsibilities. You probably already started a family. You're taking care of kids. You're doing things outside of just paying attention to what you look like physically. But I do think it's important to continue to look good. And if you can stay in shape into your 30s, you're like the creme de la creme of man. A major red pill is working out and getting into shape. You see how all that body positivity BS is exactly BS. People literally treat you differently when you stay in shape and you're healthy. But I think it usually stems because people have other responsibilities.
Showing the decline of the average man's body composition as he ages. Another thing that declines with age is the average man's hairline.
Oh, yep.
At 20 years old,
Biggie.
the average man has a Norwood 1 hairline, meaning only small amounts of recession at the temples. But by 37, the overall average, the average man has a Norwood 3 hairline, significant temple and corner recession. Although not really part of appearance, strength is something I'm sure you're curious about anyway. So here's how strong the average man is. The average man benches 135 pounds, squats 155 pounds, and deadlifts 175 pounds.
Oh my gosh, that is weak. That's not that heavy at all. Matter of fact, I apologize to all those female MMA fighters where they was talking about average dudes going against female MMA fighters and who will win. If these are the numbers of an average man, then no, these guys wouldn't stand a chance against any woman. And that's not even that's just the strength level of it. That's not including the stamina that's required to fight over a long period of time. I would assume that maybe the guys would have enough strength to compensate for their lack of stamina and try to finish the fight early because of size and weight and strength differentials. But if you don't even look like you got the advantage on strength, that means, dang, 135, you got to start eating your protein bars, brother. You need to start eating Nutri-Grain bars.
This may seem low to some of you, but when you account for the fact that only 23% of Americans go to the gym, it makes a lot of sense. The last part of appearance to discuss is the schlong. The average man is 5.36 inches long, according to a meta-analysis using lengths measured by researchers, notably a full inch shorter than the average self-reported length. Moving on to wealth, the income of the average American man is $65,752 per year before taxes. This will obviously vary depending on age, though. These are the average annual incomes in America by age cohort. Young men, as expected, earn less than their older counterparts, with earning power peaking around 50 before gradually declining until retirement. In addition to income, we need to look at the average man's net worth. Despite the earning power of the American population being quite good, the net worth of Americans is not as high as you might expect. $270K with retirement right around the corner is a pretty tough spot to be in.
Yeah, that's because people don't prioritize things like that. People don't prioritize the long term when it comes to their money. I think you should look at your money as your life force, because you literally trade your time, which is your life force, for money. So you got to respect what you're doing with your money, man. And I think people in America just have this consume mindset. Next thing you know, 40 years then pass by. And if you don't start early, it's harder to start later because you inherit so many more responsibilities. And next thing you know, you're 65 years old and you're working at Walmart. And it's a sad thing to see. But if you need a red pill, brother, just look at what average is from looking at this video. You don't really have competition. Just trying will put you above the average in terms of your competition. He just said that only 23% of people even go to the gym, let alone actually apply themselves. And going to the gym don't count if you're just sitting in the parking lot eating food in the parking lot. And I wonder how many of that percentage is those types of people. So what I'm saying is, like, when you look at competition, really it's just you versus you. If you put forth any effort towards any domain in your life, whether it be health, whether it be your wealth, whether it be your style, appearance, you can go way above average almost just while putting in very minimal effort. Just any effort will put you above average. So oftentimes I think that people think that there's like this lurking competition. It's because they compare themselves to the people who are the best in the thing they're looking at. You don't need to compare yourself to Ronnie Coleman or Arnold Schwarzenegger or Mr. Beast if you want to start a YouTube channel. People get discouraged because they compare themselves to the people who are the best, who are the outliers, but you don't even got to be that good in order to be significantly above average. Most people just don't even try in life. So to be above average, a minimal amount of effort, and you'll be above average. I forgot it said, like, if you read one book on any topic, you know more than 99% of people on earth on that topic.
And when we look at the cash savings of the average American man, around $5,300.
That's crazy.
We begin to see the average man is just getting by financially. The last category to discuss is relationships. They're the primary motivator behind almost everything the average man does. He gets in shape to attract women, works a job to support a family. They're why he does what he does. But how well is it working? How successful is the average man with women? Well, this is the timeline of the average American man. The average man has his first kiss at 15 years old. Around 17, he loses his virginity. He eventually gets married at 30, and he'll have 2 children in the following years.
Married at 30, that's crazy.
He'll experience intimacy.
You know what I think is really insane? The fact that the age of the average kid is now earlier than the age for the average marriage. I think that really points out the fact of how many single out of wedlock children are being born. The average age for having children is actually, or your first child is younger than the average age for marriage.
He was 7 partners by the end of his life and around 54 times a year throughout his adult life. When single, he'll experience intimacy with 1 new partner a year, but he's in a relationship more than he's not. There's been a movement recently pushing the idea that dating is over for the average man, but I'm not so sure about that. Looking at the statistical averages, the average man's dating life isn't actually that bad. Anyways, that's all the numbers. So, let's get to the fun part. Let's figure out if you are actually above average. Taking the stats of the average man, I put together a program that takes your stats and cross-references them with the average man to evaluate your personal sexual market value. The program takes your stats and adjusts them to be relative to your age, and then returns the exact percentile you rank among the population.
Interesting.
With the average man mapped perfectly to the 50th percentile, definitively letting you know whether you're above or below average, and by how much, at least as far as SMV goes. I also built an option to get a detailed report that gives you specific insights into your percentile. like your exact looks, career, and physique scores, as well as a personalized improvement plan. I spent months putting this thing together.
Okay,
and it's by
that's cool.
far the most accurate assessment of yourself you can get out there. It's absolutely free. The first link in the description. Check it out. Leave a comment letting me know what you got, and I'll see you in the next one.
Oh, this is cool. So guys, I actually found this SMV calculator, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now. I'm going to just put in everything that it says I need to put in, and it's going to tell me where I rank in terms of the average man. Age, I'm 29 years old. I'm about to be 30 in August. Facial attractiveness, model tier, the good-looking friend, solid but not standout, some facial flaws, balding, overweight, etc., unattractive, serious facial deformities, or obese. Now, I would say I'm the good-looking friend, but all my friends are handsome gentlemen, so I'm just going to go solid but not standout. All right, now height, I'm 5'8". Weight, I weigh about 182. Also, it says I have a 28.5% BMI, so that means that I'm overweight. But I used to be a professional athlete. I'm 5'7", I'm 182, but I still have a six-pack and I'm pretty solid muscle. So that's where it's gonna, be a little bit off for BMI. Most people are not elite level athletes, so you should go by your BMI. But for people who tend to be more athletic, carry a lot more muscle on their frame like me, it's gonna say that I'm 28.5, but I actually got a six-pack still, so I'm pretty in shape. Actually, they say that in America, there are more millionaires than there are men with six-pack abs. So if you got a six-pack, you're in like top 1% as far as displayed health. It doesn't really indicate your actual health, but you look healthier and you look more in shape than most people. So for body fat percentage, I say I'm around 12 or 13%. For income, I know y'all be pocket watching, so I'm gonna just do 150. Let's just do 150. Job title status: extreme status, celebrity, athlete, CEO. High status, firefighter, lawyer, doctor, pilot. Neutral status: teacher, tech, finance. Low status: labor, service, student. Now, I wouldn't say extreme status. I'm not really a celebrity. I think maybe in terms of people coming up to me every month, I might get 2 or 3 people that come up to me every month. It depends on the month. I've had up from like 10 to 15 people recognize me in public to about 2 or 3 per month. It doesn't really matter to me. Athlete, I'm no longer a professional athlete, so I wouldn't say that I have extreme status. When I was a professional athlete, I was playing rugby, and that sport doesn't necessarily come with extreme status. It's a global sport, so it's interesting to see how people treat you when you go to other countries, especially representing the USA. But as far as popularity in the USA, you don't really get much popularity or celebrity from that. CEO, I technically own a business being in YouTube, but YouTubers will exaggerate it. I gotta be a producer and a video creator and a script writer and hey, settle down, brother. You're not a CEO. You just got a YouTube channel. There are responsibilities that come with it, but you're not a CEO. So I'm just gonna go high status. I guess I would be considered high status. So let me go ahead and hit calculate. It says here that I'm in the 73rd percentile, and I could reach the 87th percentile if I were to do whatever improvements he give me. He says, get your results here, and you can put in your email and get the full report. I'm not going to go ahead and do that right now, but I do think that this is an interesting tool, and if he put this all together, this is very interesting. How do you compare to the average man? Love Made by Logical. I think y'all should go check him out. Let me know in the comments below if this video was a W or an L, and give me the HBO special as a Help Brother Out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Till next time.